welcome back to the Bibliovert channel. My name is Jacqueline.
And I'm Allie.
And a couple of days ago, we went book shopping. So we thought that for today's video, we would do a little haul. And some of these are not just from that day.
Yeah.
Some of them are from March, some of them are from a trip, so on and so forth. But yeah, let's go ahead. So do you want to show some of the books that you got?
Sure. Most of mine that I picked up were March releases. So ones that I had been anticipating. And March was a heavy book release month. Like heavy.
The 1st of March, I had 3 books that I wanted to go get.
So many. One of the ones that wasn't a March 1st release, but when I was setting up my bullet journal and my release pages, and I was going through the year and I was like, okay, what comes out in March? This one, I didn't read a single word of the description. The cover alone sold me. I had to have it.
Yeah.
So, Blood Scion by Deborah Fillet.
Come on.
Excuse me. Honestly, I'm kind of, based on the description, I'm kind of getting Gilded Ones vibes. Like, girl with power joins army and has to, unintentionally joins the army and has to go through the ranks, and she gets all the training, and she's kind of maybe gonna infiltrate said army. Which is very similar to Gilded Ones. However, I think I have a little bit more hope for this one.
Gilded Ones was really young.
It was very young. It was very YA.
Yeah.
And
middle grade YA.
They're even kind of similar conceptually in the covers. And Gilded Ones was also a cover buy for me.
Yeah,
so
beautiful.
Maybe that's the association that I made, and the description happened to be very similar to Gilded Ones. So I'm very excited. This is one of those that it could sit on my TBR for a very long time, but I don't want to let it.
Yes.
I want to genuinely read it. So that was my first one that I picked up.
The first one that I picked up when we were together so we were actually talking about this. We briefly mentioned it, that I have found that I've become really bad about not buying a book unless it's been really hyped or recommended on Bookstagram, or just friends have recommended it. And we were talking about how one of our co-hosts, Anna Kate, does a fantastic job of just going into the bookstore, finding books that there may not be any hype around it, and then reading it and just enjoying it. And so I think I subconsciously decided to do that for almost all of the books that I bought that weren't rereads for when we were together on Monday. So the first one, I do think I recognize the cover.
Okay.
But I don't know if anyone's liked it or not. But it is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. And essentially, what I was getting from it is that this is the theater version of the Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake, because it's about a group of 4 people, nope, just kidding, 7 people who, they are in theater school, essentially, and let me just read part of the back because it sounds really, really good. Oliver and his friends play the same roles on stage and off: hero, villain, tyrant, temptress, ingenue, and extra. But in their 4th and final year, good-natured rivalries turn ugly, and an opening night, real violence invades the students' world of make-believe. In the morning, the 4th years find themselves facing their very own tragedy and their greatest acting challenge yet: convince the police, each other, and then themselves that they're innocent.
Ooh.
I know. So anyway, that was only half of the description. it's the day that he gets out of prison. The detective is there wanting to figure out what was actually true, and it's very dark academia, very I don't know.
Almost sounds kind of like One of Us is Lying, that murder mystery that's a YA.
I haven't read that one. And I don't know if it's the matte black, but kind of also the paperback version of the Atlas 6. But I think this one could be a lot of fun. So, If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio.
Love that. We talked about this one a bunch, but it was another one of my March pickups. I went when I was on a trip to Memphis for work, went to one of their indie bookstores there called Novel.
It is so cute. Your pictures.
So cute. And I thought it was going to be small, like a small independent bookstore. It was massive. And it was popping. It was the middle of the day and it was packed. There were so many people there. Great selection, great shelves, great like open concept, so it doesn't feel like a lot of independent bookstores have the like floor to ceilings and they're like kind of hard to navigate. It's kind of narrow. This was not that way. Truly great, but of course I like went to their new release table because I went on March 1st with the intention of picking up all of these books. So Hook, Line, and Sinker was one of those new releases, and we are about to record this episode
today.
Yeah.
It'll already be out by the time this video's out, but
very excited about it. And I took it on the cruise with me, so it got a little beat up. I might need to get a clean copy.
You put it through the ringer.
I did.
So the next one was actually one that you had like been keeping an eye out for, but there's a different cover color that you want.
I don't want that one, and I couldn't find.
And I was like, I'll take it. But it is Anatomy by Dana Schwartz. I didn't realize that there was like a person in the heart for a really long time. But this is essentially a gothic story of a girl in Edinburgh who wants to become a surgeon. But because she's female, she is kicked out of the school. But she has made a deal with the professor that if she is able to pass her medical exams, then he will let her continue on her medical journey. So now she's been kicked out, she's looking for something to do to still be able to practice and learn. Meets a man who's called the Resurrection Man. I think he digs up bodies. I thought he was like an undertaker, but I think he digs them up. However, this gave me Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco vibes. So anyway, but like surgery. So it piqued my interest. The cover is beautiful.
Yeah, I just went over the cover.
Yeah. So this might be one that I read. I don't know. It feels very fall.
Yeah.
But I might read it before then. We'll see. So
cool.
Yeah.
One that I picked up yesterday. Another cover by.
It's so pretty.
I've seen it on Bookstagram like so much, and I have to be one of those Bookstagrammers that also takes pictures of it. The Ivory Key by Akshaya Raman. And I think it's a Middle Eastern based fantasy, but it's 4 siblings. So each of them have their own unique reason to find the Ivory Key that's like the magical object that they need. So they band together to try and find it, but you obviously don't know until you read it, like who gets the key, how they use it. And it's kind of like, I'm assuming, based on my impression of the blurb, the siblings have kind of been apart, and it's the found family, but it's their actual family, not like they're really related. So like maybe they're like finding their way back to each other. So I bought it for the cover.
Well,
I'm gonna stay for the vibes.
It's stunning. Okay, so this next one, I have not seen it at all. The cover is beautiful. I was reading For the Wolf by Hannah Witten at the time that I picked this up, so I'm wondering if some of like me reading that book kind of eked into like my draw to this one. But it is Forestborn by Elaine Audrey Becker. And this book is about, I mean, like, isn't that beautiful?
Stunning.
Yeah. This is about a girl who she's a shifter, and she's been working as a spy for the king. And all of a sudden there's a sickness that goes through, and her best friend, who is the prince, gets sick. And so she now has to go and try and find the cure, but it supposedly is back in the home that she said she would never go back to. So it is a journey of her and her brother, and then the prince's stubborn older brother. So I don't know if like...
So we don't fall in love with a prince?
I don't know. Yeah, we might fall in love with the prince's brother? I don't know. But it's like a lot of going through this forest, and I think for the wolf there was this sentient forest.
Okay.
And I think maybe I kind of put that assumption on this one. I don't know.
Got it.
We're gonna see. But I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. So yeah.
Cool. Another cover by Are you sensing a trend?
You go for these. You take all of our pictures, so it makes sense.
Yeah, it's true. Gallant is V.E. Schwab's newest release. I always buy new V.E. Schwab books
They're so
and then don't read them.
Yeah.
So I've read literally one of her books, but I have almost half a shelf full of them. So Gallant, you called this Madeline the Children's Storybook meets Stranger Things meets Series of Unfortunate Events.
Yes.
So that is a description that I think makes little sense to me.
I think most people would probably be like, yes, Stranger Things, absolutely. The tone of Series of Unfortunate Events, sure. The Madeline might be kind of a stretch, but she grows up in like a children's home, and I think that I just needed to like relate it to something in my head.
Anything to do with like Miss Peregrine's, the like home for oddities or whatever. Yes,
I never read those growing up.
Neither did I, but that's the same kind of concept of like
the scary
children's home.
I think suspense might be a better word for it because it's not horror or anything like that. But I think it would have wigged me out as a kid.
Yeah.
So
we're here for the visuals.
They're so beautiful. And the British version.
Oh,
gorgeous.
Oh yes, I've seen it.
Gorgeous. So the next several that the next all of them that I have would probably be considered rereads.
Okay.
So in our Patreon, some of our girls have started a Sisterhood of the Traveling Book, and I've gotten to be a part of it, and it is so much fun. But I read them in library by Matt Haig for Holly, and I thoroughly enjoyed it a lot. But I was really sad that it was not my copy because I'm gonna have to mail it back to Holly. So I went ahead and picked up one for myself.
Cool.
So I know that this book is not for everyone and their mental health journey, but it was very poignant for me. However, I do recommend looking up trigger warnings beforehand because it does talk about some pretty heavy topics.
Cool.
So the next two, I cannot say no to leather-bound books. I just can't. And these were two books that were very, very instrumental in my little childhood reading years. So I found these, couldn't say no. So The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Graham and Aesop's Fables. I have so many copies of Aesop's Fables, but I didn't
realize you kept that one. I knew you kept this one, but I didn't realize you sent that one in your bag.
I kept both. But yeah, no, they're just beautiful. So I have almost a whole bookshelf, case now of leather-bound books. I think I might reorganize my downstairs shelves and only put the leather-bounds down there.
Oops.
So that's what I'm telling myself. I have to get some more to fill it out.
The last two that I have also came from novel that I bought out there. No, that's not true. This one did. That one is not because I have a story about one. When I got
that's
one.
right.
Yes, yeah. Another March release that was highly anticipated, All My Rage by Saba Tahir. She is the author of the Ember in the Ashes series, and this is her first book outside of that series. Yeah, it's her first contemporary novel. I think it is very self-generative. I think it's very reflective of her personal story and her personal experiences in high school and early college. But the little thing says it best: a gorgeous star-crossed story about the cost of the American dream. And I read it in a single day. It is reminding me a lot of Tahira Mafi's A Very Large Expanse of Sea, but I'm kind of expecting that I might like this one. I think this one might be a little bit more fleshed out. So I'm very excited about this one. These are the types of contemporary YA novels that I really enjoy. And I always love seeing new perspectives that I myself didn't experience. So I love. Also, obviously, I was in a tan, reds, blues, oranges mood when I bought all of these, so there will probably be pictures of all of them together because they go so well together.
I'm so excited to read All My Rage. I've been I don't want to use the word hesitant to read it because I want to be in the right headspace.
Yes.
Like I want to do this book the justice that it deserves. And so I think I've been like, I can't read it until I'm there, because Sabaa Tahir's probably one of my favorite authors ever.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I just want to do it its due diligence. But yes, it's beautiful. The next book that I bought, I mentioned it earlier. I already have the paperback version for it, but we were talking about it and I was like, but the sequel is coming out this year and it's going to be hardback, so matching.
And it's going to match that one, not the other one.
And this cover is beautiful.
Yeah.
I like the paperback more, but this is still stunning. This is The Atlas Six by Olivia Blake. This is a dark academia. Every single character, they are complex. And I wouldn't even consider them morally gray. Like, I think they're just...
corrupt.
Yes. But it is essentially, if the Library of Alexandria was never lost, but there's a secret society of people who are, like, taking care of it. And so there are 6 initiates who are joining this Alexandrian society to take care of the library, but they are pitted against each other, and they are brilliant, and they all have their own abilities and powers, and they're very greedy, very self-serving, and it is a fascinating deep dive. It was way too smart for me personally. I mean, we're talking about like quantum physics and black holes, and I was like, I'm just gonna take it at face value. Like, I'll believe whatever you tell me. But it like messed with my mind in like a really fun way. So, I've been eyeing this one since it came out, like a hardback, so decided to get it.
Nice. Yeah. Cool. My last one.
Yeah, your story.
My story. Another one that was a March release.
I didn't realize that.
I think it was March. It was either March or February. Came out this year. I don't know if I was interested in it or if I just was like, I want to walk out with something.
I can't leave empty-handed.
My love for rom-coms is growing. So, A Brush with Love. Also, this one is one of those that I think it's like kind of like The Love Hypothesis or The Kiss Quotient. I kind of expect it to blow up and not be like a middle ground rom-com. We'll see if that actually happens. I don't know. I'm not a teeth person. Like, I'm not like, I go to the dentist, but like, I'm not a floss every day kind of person. And I always think it's interesting when there's like a very unique topic for a rom-com.
Niche.
Very niche.
Yes.
So I don't know why I happened, but I did. And truly, like, reading the blurb on it, I think it's going to be much less dentist-y and much more, like, focused on the romance, so that'll be fine. But I go to the checkout counter, and the boy behind the counter, he was like, oh, like, I think he sees the title on the computer come up when he scans it, not, like, looking at the book. And he was like, oh, and he started talking about, like, painting. Like paintbrush. And I was like, no, I think it's more like dentist.
I think
like,
it's a
toothbrush. And he starts asking, he was like, what kind of romance do you like? I'm thinking that this boy behind the counter, he was a small boy, was about to start talking to me about like spicy books. And I was like, I mean, bring it on.
Yeah.
You want to walk into this conversation, go right ahead. He was like, what about like dark romance? And I was like, okay. Not quite fully spicy. Like, are we? It's like, I mean, yeah, sometimes I'll read them. He was like, cool. So there's this manga. And at that point I was like, you lost me, sir. It's not my genre. I've tried it. It's not my genre. And then he proceeds to tell me that the manga essentially has very little romance in it, and like it's not even actually related to romance at all. He just was excited to tell me about this manga that he really liked, and he was like, yeah, and there's a little bit of romance in it. And I was like, sir, you stretched that segue. Like, you really stretched it. I think he emphasized more on the dark part of the manga, and there just happened to potentially be some romance. I don't even remember what the name of it was, because the moment he said it, I was like, this is not going to be up my alley. It's not going to be. But I was very surprised that he bridged from A Brush with Love to a dark manga that
really
may
funny.
not have any romance in it at all.
I feel like that would be me, where it's like, I work at a...
I see you're reading a nonfiction biography. Can I interest you in Throne of Glass?
Yeah. So I see you like travel books. Have you considered traveling to a realm that doesn't exist?
So that
is a pretty funny like little...
that was
Why not?
the last one.
I like it.
Yeah.
So my last stack. So I went on a trip to the Middle East for work this last week, and I had really wanted to go to a bookstore while I was there, but we were just so busy that was not possible. So when I had a significant layover in Istanbul, and there was a bookstore just there in the airport, because unfortunately I couldn't leave because of COVID stuff and then come back. Whole story. So I went to this bookstore and was so excited because everything was in Turkish, but there were several books that I recognized, and then I just got really excited about it. So I decided to get 2. So even though I wasn't in Turkey for work, I couldn't say no to these. So the first one is the Turkish version of The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. And it just made me really, really happy to see it. So I had to get it.
That one is so, like, you could recognize that
Yes.
from like a mile away.
Absolutely. I was like, I know that book.
I know that one.
I know that book.
Yeah.
And then the second one was The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. Throne of Glass is my preferred Sarah J. Maas series. They did have A Court of Silver Flames there, and it had a semi-different cover. It was actually gray instead of the orange. It was more like the old hardbacks. However, Silver Flames is just not my favorite. So I was like, I don't think I want to do that. And Assassin's Blade's not my favorite, and Throne of Glass, but I just couldn't say no. So I got that. But then, same airport, same bookstore, different location in the airport, which kind of threw me for a little bit of a loop. However, all of these were in English. So I was like, well, of course I have to go in. And so I was just like looking at them, and then I found these beauties. And when I checked out, the sweet lady behind the counter was like, you do realize that these are all the same book, right? And I was like, I do, yes,
I understand.
because this is the only one
I
they
felt
had.
for the marketing ploy, man.
Yes, it
Thank
worked.
you.
Yeah. And I wanted to say it's a gift for other people, but then I was like, no, it's just a gift for me.
Yeah. I am the gift.
I am the gift. So, it is for Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, but each one has the different house. And then they have beautiful sprayed edges, and the covers are gorgeous. And I was like, yes, I need these. So that's what we did.
I love it.
I know. I love them too. And then they have like really pretty spines as well. So anyway, I felt like that was a good haul from the airport. Yeah.
Way to go, airport.
Way to go, Istanbul Airport. It was really a beautiful airport. But yeah, those are the books that I got. And we had fun going book shopping.
We sure did. It was we had both been on trips that required a lot of extroverting.
So much extra.
And the moment we were in the same room, we were like, can we go to a bookstore and not, like, just... I literally took a work meeting.
In the bookstore.
In the bookstore. Like, I had my AirPods in as I was, like, checking out. Because I needed to be around books and book people so badly.
Yep.
I was like, I cannot wait.
It was great. You literally texted me like, hey, you want to go to the bookstore today? And I was like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. But that is it for this video. We really hope you enjoyed it. If you have read any of these books, let us know what your thoughts are down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving a like and also subscribing to our channel. You can also check us out on Instagram at the Bibliovertpodcast, and we also have a Patreon. That is a lot of fun, filled with an amazing community. We do a book buddy read every single month, and we have a lot of other perks going on. And then lastly, we do have a podcast called the Bibliovertpodcast, where we have episodes that come out every single week. And we've been doing a lot of author interviews recently, and they have been so much fun. So definitely check that out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. But that is it. We hope you have a fantastic week. Happy reading, and we will see you next time.